If you're watching with us, please share out these lives. If you're on Facebook, share it to any Facebook group, share it to your personal page, share it to wherever. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. If you're on YouTube, share it out. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. It feel like I ain't go live in a very long time. It really feel like I ain't go live in a long time. But let me share it out myself. See what's going on here. Like I said, if you tuning in right now, welcome. Just share out the live. Hold on one second. Let's see what's going on here. How y'all doing today, by the way? You know, the weather's nice. There's a lot of things opening up in NYC. It's a lot of things for us to do. But let me see something real quick. Yeah, so if you're watching right now, please share out the live video. Let me see if we go get into, as you know, Progressive Action 100 is the Cash App if you want to donate. The PayPal is Progressive Action if you want to donate once again. Greatly appreciate it. As you guys know, July, let me move out the way. July 15th, we having our Jericho March. We are uniting with the United Clergy Coalition in New York City. This is actually, they put this together. They invited us in. If you're a part of any church, come join us. The meetings is every Wednesday at 4 p.m. If you're interested in coming, please hit me in DM. You're a part of a church. You're a part of a community. No matter what the case is, this is not only a church thing, of course, because Progressive Action is involved. We're going to get Bishop Seabrooks on the phone before the march actually happened. So like I said, July 15th, we meeting at Cadman Plaza. We will be marching for education reform, housing reform, police reform, all types of issues. The meeting for this march will be at Cadman Plaza, 9 a.m. We go march over the Brooklyn Bridge all the way to City Hall, where we're going to have a demonstration there. Like I said, if you're a part of a church organization, whatever, come out. It'll be good. Now, there's some things that have been going on in the media as far as with the MTA is concerned. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, as far as with the media is concerned, there's a lot of things going on with the TA. And hold on one second. I just want to check something out. I want to check one thing out before I move forward. Got to check something out. Something is not clicking on my end. Yeah, okay. Hold on one second. Seabrook, gotta check something out. Hold on one second, guys. I had to get off of that page real quick. So there's some things that have been going on in the MTA. You have a manager, he pleads guilty to Sandy probe for creating a shell company with family and friends to funnel money directly to him. Now, do I think that this type of stuff happens a lot in the MTA? Yeah. I mean, but he was foolish enough to get caught. This guy bid on a job, create a company for it, and put his family and friends involved in it, his co-workers, and he ended up getting caught. But this shows you how easy it is to make money off of the TA corruptly. And I don't think that they run a tight ship when it comes to these type of things. And, you know, this manager ended up getting caught at the end. Like I said, for those, if you just watching, please share out the show. For some reason, I can't share out the show myself. So if you watching, please share out the show. Uh, Bed bugs is back. Maybe at Brighton Beach. I want y'all to watch this video, and I'm gonna let you guys know what the TA said regarding this video right here. Check it out.
Oh, come on now. Yeah, it's good. Yep. Okay.
Now, as you guys seen there, it looked like it was a bed bug there. But the TA hit me back today, coincidentally, and said, it wasn't no bed bug. It wasn't no bed bug. I'm like, wow. So what was it then? They brung that. What's the name of that dog? Roscoe. They brung Roscoe to the terminal at Brighton Beach, and they said it wasn't no bed bugs. And the exterminator said that wasn't no bed bug. It looked like a bed bug to me. But if you're working out of Brighton Beach, please be careful, because you could take these bugs home and it could cost you thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to rectify. Also in today's news, I'm gonna put this on the screen. This is an email from management, and today or yesterday, I think what happened was a conductor had asked for a mask. His mask broke. He went to the dispatcher and asked for a mask. This dispatcher felt the need to tell the conductor no. And not only that, he called the police on the conductor. How you call the police on a conductor who's asking for a mask? That's like Karening to a whole nother level. Needless to say, though, the supervisor was taken out of service for insubordination, amongst other things. But these type of acts from supervision needs to be frowned upon by upper management. And believe it or not, I would say middle management, the superintendents, the generals, the actos, make these type of events happen because they co-sign these events. The only reason the MTA is taking it serious is because they know that we have media access and we able to expose these type of things now. But these type of acts is encouraged by middle management, the actos, the superintendents. Not everyone, but everyone knows who these superintendents are, who's causing these types of incidences. So basically what this says on the screen is that if an employee wants a mask, give them the mask. There's no reason for this type of stuff to even happen. But this is the employer that we work for. They encourage this behavior from their supervisors. They definitely encourage this behavior from their supervisors. So I see y'all notice, if you haven't noticed by now, we got my brother Edwin Raymond in the corner of the screen. He will be there for the foreseeable future. Edwin is running for City Council District 40. That is Flatbush, East Flatbush, Kensington, Midwood, Prospect Park, Lefferts Gardens. And I want to say this about Edwin. Edwin is a good brother, and I'm not gonna say this because he's a friend, but or any other reason. I started following Edwin a few years ago when he took his fight up against NYPD, and he was basically speaking up for the black and brown community of how the NYPD police in those communities. And I've been watching him. The stars finally connected for us this year. We created a bond, and we've been working behind the scenes on numerous things. But now he has elevated his stance in this society, and he has always been doing the work. Edwin been doing the work. Now he want to make it official for him to do the work. And even if things don't pan out, he's going to continue to do the work. But we want to put people who's going to fight for us in these positions and support them in these positions because they have our best interests. And he's a police officer. He's a lieutenant. He fought his way to the top because they do consider him a snitch within the NYPD. They do consider him a whistleblower. And he continues to fight to this day. So shout out to Edwin. We got your back. Whatever you need from us at Progressive Action, you know we got you, brother. This is actually a picture of us right here. You have me to the left, of course. We have Edwin in the middle, and it's good. It was a good turnout. He has our support. You have a lot of people that's coming out and getting behind him. So I think we should too. Why not? Now, I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys that it's very, 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 very important to pay attention to these MTA board meetings. We must pay attention to these MTA board meetings and listen to everything that they're talking about. A lot of stuff that they talk about affects our jobs. A lot of stuff they talk about affect our jobs, affect our livelihoods. It affects a lot of things. And if we don't start paying attention and getting involved, we are going to miss out. We're going to miss out. So we're going to listen to this clip from the MTA consultant regarding how the MTA handled themselves during this whole pandemic fiasco. And here's a clip from me. I want you guys to listen closely and we're going to discuss it. Be right back.
Didn't wear one unless they're sick. And MTA decided on April 27th that they felt the right thing to do was to begin distributing masks to their employees in advance of that change in public guidance, public health guidance. And in this case, they were right. There's been continual emergence of scientific research to demonstrate how important mask usage is for us during this pandemic. For special protocols for vulnerable populations, we observed some responses from MTA that indicated changes to their accessoride paratransit program as early as March 12th. And that's important because we know from public health officials that people of advanced age, those that are immunocompromised, are more vulnerable to the disease, and logically, there's paratransit is built to support people in these categories. So they've taken many steps in the area of paratransit starting on March 12th, and then they also, for their employees on April 14th, instituted a return to work policy to essentially help those employees over 70 or with pre-existing medical conditions have options to consider on if and when they return to work to minimize their risk. For internal and external communication,
now I need you guys to pay attention to what they said. He said April 27th, the MTA decided to hand out masks. I want you guys to be informed that they considered this a pandemic March 8th, March 9th. So for them to respond April 27th, it also explains why we had so many deaths within the MTA. And this consultant said that the MTA was right in handing out masks at April 27th. Now, we got to keep rewinding and telling our story because we can't allow the MTA to control this story. So the MTA tried to weaponize the CDC guidance against us, right? But before then, before they weaponized the guidance against us, they was telling us that we couldn't wear masks because it was against uniform policy. That's what it was originally. You can't wear masks because we don't want the public to think that something serious was going on. and they didn't allow us to wear masks. Then they went into this whole CDC thing, tried to weaponize the CDC against us by telling us, hey, you guys can't wear masks because the CDC says that we can't wear masks. So once they figured out they was wrong, then they came April 27th and said, hey, you know what? You guys should wear masks. And we got everything in writing. As you can see, we got the safety rule dispute resolution form. This is in March, early March. If you look at the top right-hand corner of the paper, they said that the mask is against uniform policy. It has nothing to do with the CDC. And you got the fact that these consultants, they have forgot about this. The Transit Authority pandemic plan. They are failing to mention that. So, and even in this pandemic plan, it says what they're supposed to do, stockpile supplies. It totally explains everything that they're supposed to do, their purpose. Everything is there. It even says who's supposed to get the proper PPE and who isn't, and how many times a day, and all this other stuff we're supposed to get. And these consultants ignored it. And even with the MTA memos themselves, all of this stuff is ignored by these consultants. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Progressive Action TV show. We had a minor hiccup. So we're going to get directly back into it. Once again, if you want to donate to the platform, our Cash App is Progressive Action 100, as you see on the screen right there or right here. Our PayPal is Progressive Action. So if you would like to donate to the show, please go to Cash App or PayPal. Or if you want to be a real person who support the platform, you can subscribe to our Patreon. It's $25 a month for the membership, and that's your support to the platform. So shout out to all our Patreon members. Once again, if you're watching live right now, before I forget, if you're watching live right now, don't forget to share out the show. The more people who know about our issues, the more allies we would get, and it would teach them something about us instead of assaulting us all the time. So let me do that myself. Let me get this out there myself. If you're watching right now, please share out the video. Let me do it myself. Let me see. See what's going on. Let me share it out myself. Let me check it out. If you're on YouTube watching, share it out. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching with us on Facebook, just share it to your page, share it to your whatever groups you in, share it everywhere. I'm going to take 1 minute to do it myself. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. You guys do not understand how much stuff we got to talk about today. Just 1 minute to share it out. Let me get it to these different groups. All right, this is good for now. Yeah, so July 15th, we having something called the Jericho March. Progressive Action has united with the United Clergy Coalition of New York City. They are filled with a whole bunch of pastors in the whole New York City. We planning on marching 10,000 people. If you are a part of a church, you want your church to be involved, please DM me on Facebook or Twitter, or email me at progressiveaction100 at gmail.com. We planning on marching 10,000 people. Pastor Seabrooks has asked us to get involved with him on this. So who are we to say no to something that's positive? So we will be marching about education reform, housing reform, police reform. The march will originate at Cadman Plaza, 9 a.m., July 15th. We will be marching across the Brooklyn Bridge all the way to City Hall, and that's when the demonstration and everything else is going to take place at. So once again, if you're part of a church, please DM me, get involved. If you want to get involved, point blank period, please do. Bring your kids. This is mainly for the youth, the teenagers. We got to get them involved in what's going on here. It's very important that we do that. So once again, I must say this. If you're watching right now, please share out the video. Start a watch party, wherever the case may be. We're about to jump right into this thing. So, corruption at the MTA is nothing new. Nothing new here. But I found this pretty crazy. You know, a manager pleaded guilty for a Sandy probe in which he created a shell company to profit off of Hurricane Sandy as a contractor. So he created the shell company, he put it in his kid's name, I believe, a co-worker name, and he wanted to make easy money off the MTA. You know, I say this, you want to get rich, it's two positions you could have with the MTA. You could be a consultant or you could be a contractor. Because the MTA, they don't cross their T's and dot their I's. It's so easy to make money off of this company corruptly. And I'm almost for certain that a lot of the contractors, the consultants, they are here because they are friends of family of people within this company. And when that get exposed sooner or later, we're going to see what's going to happen. What else is going on inside the news? Oh, I'm going to play this video real quick. Earlier, I would say about a week and a half ago, I had contacted management about bed bugs being at Brighton Beach. And they claimed they exterminated and all this other stuff. So I'm going to play this video real quick and we're going to discuss it because management had actually emailed me again today talking about it. But I'm going to play this video and you guys let me know what you think.
Oh, come on now. Yeah, it's good. Yep. Okay.
What you guys think? Was that a bed bug or wasn't that a bed bug? Management had emailed me today and said, Tramel, that wasn't no bed bug. Said they sent the dog there to sniff. The dog didn't find anything. And the exterminator said that wasn't no bed bug. That looked like a bed bug to me. But I am not someone who studies insects, so I don't know. But it looked like a bed bug to me. So if you're working out of Brighton Beach, just please be careful because once these bugs get into your home, it's a hassle to get it removed. So let me get into this story. Yesterday, there was a conductor. The conductor mask broke. And the conductor went inside the dispatcher office and asked the dispatcher, hey, I need a new mask. For some odd reason, the dispatcher, which is a supervisor for those who don't know, the dispatcher not only told the conductor no, but he also called the police on the conductor. I found that to be very, very, very strange. When the dispatcher was confronted by a superintendent and told to write a G2, this dispatcher decided to book off. Now, needless to say, the police came, said they couldn't do anything. The the dispatcher was written up and taken out of service. Was that dispatcher high? Was that dispatcher on drugs? Did he book off because it was a possibility that he may have to go, or she may have to go pee in a cup? Because I can't see a sober supervisor in the middle of a pandemic calling the police on a conductor because the conductor wanted a mask and didn't want to work without a mask. That makes absolutely no sense. So management came out with this email today, basically reminding terminal supervision and to all the terminal supervisors who follow progressive action. If an employee asks for a mask, give them the mask. It costs you no money. You got so many dispatchers and supervisors who act like these supplies come out of their pockets. They act like it come out of their pockets. Now, I will say this. A lot of supervisors are emboldened to act this way because middle supervision, the people who I call middle supervision are the superintendents from the deputies to the actos. They allow certain supervisors to act with impunity to do whatever they want to do to the hourly employee, because a lot of these middle supervisors do this themselves. I have documented this. I have reported this. This is what they do. So something like this happening is not unheard of. It's very believable too. So, I mean, I hope that supervisor get taken care of, because they need to be disciplined and held accountable for their actions. Like, you do not call the police on another coworker because they did not want to be working without a mask and you didn't want to provide them a mask. The MTA must do the right thing with this, because once again, we will be watching. Oh, let me put this up in the screen. Y'all see right here, we got our brother Edwin Raymond. Now, for those who don't know, Edwin was a part of the NYPD 12. The NYPD 12, they were a group of police officers who came together in the media and said that the NYPD protocols and policies unfairly targets Black and brown communities. Now, all 12 of these men are very brave. They deserve our support. That's why when people think that all cops are bad, all cops aren't bad. You have a lot of cops that's fighting the fight from the inside on our behalf. And now Edwin has decided to elevate his game. Now, when I say elevate, I just mean that a different title, because he has always been doing this work. He's been doing the work. There's no question in my mind, can he do the work? Can he speak up for us? Can he advocate for us? He definitely could do that, and he has been doing it. But we need to make him official. So Edwin right now is running for the New York City Council 40th District. That district is Flatbush, East Flatbush, Midwood, Prospect Park, Lefferts Gardens, I think that Crown Heights. Those are the areas that New York City Council District 40 encompass. So it's very important that we get out there and we support our brother Edwin Raymond, and he definitely has progressive action support. Oh, and I got to put this picture up there. As you guys see, you have me. You have, hold on a second. You got me. You have Edwin in the middle. And you have, as you guys know him as Omar from The Wire, Michael K. Williams. Michael K. Williams was there to support. Actually, Michael K. Williams, he been on the front line as an activist for a little minute. And I have ran into him a couple of times in the past couple of weeks at different events. So it's good to see that he's there, not being an entertainer or in an entertainment capacity, but there's an activist. So shout out to Mike. And I spoke to Mike. Mike said that he will be coming on to the Progressive Action TV show. So look out for that. That's pretty dope, right? So I don't know how many times I have to emphasize that it's very important that we pay attention to these MTA board meetings. You will be very surprised at what goes on at these MTA board meetings regarding us. Now, in the next probably 30, 40 minutes of the show, next 30 minutes, I'm going to break down some things that was said just yesterday or the day before yesterday at the MTA board meeting. And it's very important because it's going to affect you greatly. Your pay. But the first thing I want to get into is the MTA consultant report. I need you guys to listen to how the MTA lie, how they get these consultants who is only there to cover for the company, not cover for the employee or hold the MTA liable for their actions. So it's very important that you guys listen to this video, and then we're going to discuss it right after.
Shouldn't wear one unless they're sick. And MTA decided on April 27th that they felt the right thing to do was to begin distributing masks to their employees in advance of that change in public guidance, public health guidance. And in this case, they were right. There's been continual emergence of scientific research to demonstrate how important mask usage is for us during this pandemic. For special protocols for vulnerable populations, we observed some responses from MTA that indicated changes to their accessoride paratransit program as early as March 12th. And that's important because we know from public health officials that people of advanced age, those that are immunocompromised, are more vulnerable to the disease, and logically, there's paratransit is built to support people in these categories. So they've taken many steps in the area of paratransit starting on March 12th, and then they also, for their employees on April 14th, instituted a return to work policy to essentially help those employees over 70 or with pre-existing medical conditions have options to consider on if and when they return to work to minimize their risk. For internal and external communication.
Did you guys hear that BS? Did you guys hear that BS? So this consultant said that as April 27th, the MTA decided to hand out masks. Now, let me remind you, the pandemic started March 9th. Why did the MTA wait until April 27th to start handing out masks? We're talking about almost over a month. And he said that they were right. He said that emphatically. They were right. How were they right? Let's rewind this so you guys won't get this confused or twisted. March 2nd, the MTA told us that masks were against uniform policy. That's what they did first. Then they told us if we want to wear masks, we got to provide them for ourselves. Then they came with this CDC guidance. The CDC said that you guys can't wear masks. Masks should only be used for sickly people. Healthy people don't need masks. But all this time, they had this piece of paperwork. It's the pandemic plan. And this pandemic plan is catered to the MTA and our specific trade. See, when the MTA had weaponized the CDC against us, the CDC was broad guidance. The reason why the MTA had a pandemic plan because it spoke specifically to our trade. So if you look at the pandemic plan, it says it right here. You see all the different titles. You see all the different titles. You see who needs PPE and who doesn't need PPE. And that pandemic plan, it also states that there's supposed to be a stockpile, 6-week supply of PPE. Where was that? So when the MTA weaponized the CDC against us, all this time they had their own pandemic plan, which they could have followed to save our co-workers' lives. So it didn't start with, oh, the CDC said that you guys don't need PPE. It started with their public perception of them telling us that masks are against uniform policy. That's where it started at. Then they weaponized the CDC against us. Then I reminded them that they did have a pandemic plan. And then I got a picture of the warehouse where the masks were. And then after that, that's when they started actually handing out masks. That's the truth. Everything is in the timeline. It's on the internet. That's the complete truth. So there's no way possible that they can get away with that under any circumstance. And we're not going to allow them to get away with those lies. There's no way possible. We are not going to allow them to get away with those lies. Matter of fact, let's get into a little before I get into advertisement. Management has started to ramp up discipline again. They have brought back big stick management. They are ready to start taking food out of our family mouths. They are ready back to action at 2 Broadway. So continue to do the right thing, because even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, the MTA don't care. Discipline is first. Discipline is first at this company. Punitive discipline, to be specific. Corrective discipline, no such thing. Punitive discipline, yes. Corrective discipline, here and there. So be careful if you get in trouble or whatever the case is, because you will be at 2 Broadway, and they probably don't care about social distancing either. But let's get into this advertisement real quick. So we have, I'm not going to say her real name. I'm going to say what her name is on Facebook. We have Lena B, right? So Lena B, she makes sweets and cakes. I don't keep that stuff around. But I just say, you know what? Let me try. So let me try some of this banana pudding. And I tried out the banana pudding, and it was excellent. It was excellent. So she makes the regular banana pudding. She makes Oreo banana pudding, and she actually selling them today. So if you want some banana pudding, hit her on Facebook and her messenger. Her name is Lana B, LANABEE, and you could get you some banana pudding. This is what she looks like. Once again, So if you see her page, go get yourself some banana pudding. Now, as you guys know, there has been a lot of racial stuff going on, not only in the MTA, but a lot of these companies, all over America, like a whole bunch of races started popping out, whatever the case is. And Progressive Action has proudly been leading that cause of calling out the racist acts of this company, from management to policies to discipline to things that's hidden within our contract also. So I had seen New York One news reporter Dan Rivoli. He posted this on Twitter. He said, MTA boss Foye on systemic racism says agency will look within. Start with listening and engaging sessions with workers and conference of minority transportations officials. MTA is quite segregated by race and gender, not just in the workforce and management, even by position. Shout out to Pat Foye for finally acknowledging that. He has finally acknowledged that we are segregated by race and gender. Not just on the workforce, but management. That is real big. But like I said, once again, it's very important that we pay attention to these MTA board meetings, because he spoke about it at the MTA board meeting. So let's listen to the clip from the MTA board meeting with Pat Foye actually acknowledging this situation.
I want to take a moment today to recognize what's happening in this city, state, and in the country at this particular moment, as we all reckon yet again with the lasting legacy of systemic racism that remains embedded in the fabric of our nation's daily reality, and as we reflect deeply and honestly about the long and hard work we all need to do to create a more just and equitable society. We recognize that the MTA has a responsibility and role in this moment as one of the largest employers in the region and as the region's mass transit service provider. It is our responsibility to not only affirm our commitment to diversity, inclusion, and equity to all employees, but to reflect deeply and honestly about how we as an agency enact and embrace these values in all that we do. It is our responsibility not only to reflect, but also to take critical, thoughtful, and responsive action to make meaningful change. This includes identifying, confronting, and addressing inequities that may exist within our own organization, to acknowledge our shortcomings in both the past and the present, and to come up with a concrete plan to do better and to get it right. As I said to our employees in a letter last Friday, Juneteenth, we will start this process by hearing from you, our employees, with a series of employee listening and engagement sessions facilitated by the Conference of Minority Transportation Officers, COMTO. We will take your feedback from these listening sessions, supplement it with data, benchmark it against other organizations, and create actionable initiatives that our leadership team will consider for implementation. We are also continuing to explore additional ways to engage our employees, hear from them, and come together to determine the meaningful changes we can make together. I'll now turn it over to Pat Warren, our Chief Safety.
Shout out to Pat Foye finally acknowledging that there is a problem at the MTA. But bigger shout out, and I have no problem patting myself and my team on our back. Shout out to Progressive Action for making the MTA realize that there's a problem at the MTA regarding race. We did that. We did that. Now, like I said, don't get it twisted. This racism is deeply rooted. It's not just it's not just systemically. It's hidden in our contracts. It's through discipline, it's policies, it's so much stuff that this racism is implemented in. And just like I said before, in our contracts, in our union contract, it's racism in our union contract, believe it or not. And I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say this, but check this out. I'm going to put that on the screen. This is the wage progression for cleaners. If you look at the wage progression for cleaners and you look at the language, now the way it works is that maintainer titles, they first year they start at 85%. Everyone else is 70%. But for some reason, cleaners, they have a different wage progression. And these cleaners start at 60% of their wage progression. Now, for those who don't know, historically, when the MTA was first starting out, the only job that black people were allowed to have were called porters, aka cleaners. We were only allowed to be cleaners. We couldn't be train operators. We couldn't be bus operators. We couldn't be mechanics. We couldn't do any of that. The only job that they allowed us to have was cleaners. So now you fast forward to 2020. Why is this thing still in the contract today? Why is this still in the contract? Why do cleaners have an inferior wage progression compared to everyone else? Now, historically, once again, most of the people or all of the people at the time who were mechanics in the MTA, when these companies first started, was only Caucasians. And if you look at those titles or that wage progression on the screen at the bottom up under the rectangle, they start at 85% of their wage progression. Now, I have an issue with that. In my opinion, I think that everyone should start at 85% of their wage progression when they first started in this company. We sacrifice so much for this company that they should start us all at 85%. Now, some people will probably say, well, you know, maintainers, they are skilled workers. They deserve to start at 85%, whatever the case may be. That's not a good argument. We separate titles, and if you feel that they do more, they skilled or whatever the case is, that's why you pay them a higher dollar amount. You don't pay them a higher dollar amount and start them at 85%. I'm not even mad at that part. I'm mad at why everyone else is starting at 70%, and specifically why is cleaners starting at 60%. So I say this to Pat Foye. If you are serious about creating change here, if you are serious about eliminating the racial inequalities here, this is something that you could change tomorrow. Do it in good faith. At least make the cleaners 70% of their wage progression starting out like everyone else. Besides, the cleaners is what actually kept this company afloat during this entire pandemic. The least you could do is start them at 70% like you start conductors, like you start everyone else except maintainers. Start them at 70%. Hell, start them at 85%. I would not care. Start them at 85%. If you want to fix something, this is something that you have the power to do. The union is not going to go against it. They're going to agree to it. This is something that don't need to be negotiated, Mr. Foye. This is something that you can initiate today and say, you know what? He's right. Cleaners need to be on the same level as everyone else when it comes to wage progression. Make them 85%. I would not be mad. I started out at 70%. Who cares? Start the cleaners out at 85% like you do the maintenance titles. That's my proposal to you, Mr. Foye. And then, not to mention, racism is embedded inside our union leadership also. For an example, there was this program called the apprenticeship program, where in titles like traffic checker, cleaner, you will have candidates from those titles go inside a work program so they can advance themselves into a maintenance title. So what happened? The union suspended the program, which stymied people in those titles, which is mostly black people and women, minorities, stymied the people in those titles who wanted to move up, who wanted to make better for themselves. It stopped them from moving into maintenance titles. To me, that was racially driven. And that did not change until we started speaking up about it. This is something that you think that just because your union rep and they wear local 100 paraphernalia and they come to your depot or they come to your terminal and they shake your hand and they laugh and giggle and kiki all in your face, that they are your friend. These people are not your friend. In fact, during this whole racial fiasco, the union has been MIA. The last time the union got upset is when Pat Foye told Utano to have a safe Columbus Day. Coincidentally, Columbus statues are being taken down across America. And you talking about attacks on a cleaning position. Look what this reads. This from the Wall Street Journal. New York subway system may implement temperature checks, robot cleaners. Robot cleaners. Wow. So the cleaning title is under attack, and they have no true, real representation. The cleaning reps, they are not true representation of that cleaning title. In fact, they have been very quiet about this. This should be spoken about vocally from Local 100. The cleaning title is under full attack. Full attack. And we must change that. During this entire pandemic, the cleaning title kept this company afloat, working doubles, reverse doubles, 7 days a week. They was doing so much for this company just to get a smack in the face. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just to get a smack in the face. Robot cleaners. That's something crazy. We go get back to something else that happened at the MTA board. Like I told you guys, we must pay attention to what's going on at these MTA board meetings. It's a must. It's a must. It's a must we pay attention to what's going on at these MTA board meetings. Let me get in, because this is important right here. This one right here is important. Matter of fact, I don't even want to be selfish. I want you guys, if you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this. If you're watching on Facebook, please start a watch party. If you're watching on YouTube, take the link and share it out. This thing is about to get spooky. You got to hear what these MTA board members are talking about doing and affecting our money. It's about to get real serious out here. All you people who like overtime and surviving off of overtime, I think you guys better pay attention to this video. Really think you better pay attention to this video.
In various categories.
Let's get into it. I ain't gonna hold y'all back. No. Let's just get into the video.
Define essential, define what is non-essential, so that in the event, and look, I'm not advocating anything right now, so I'm not advocating terminating anyone, laying anyone off, furloughing anyone. I'm here to advocate service reductions or anything else, right? What I'm advocating for is we need a lot of information, and we need to squeeze every ounce of juice out of the orange regarding non-essential items before we look at the essential category. So, employees, who's essential, who's non-essential. Services, what's essential, what's non-essential. Capital, is any of it essential? Is what it's non-essential? We have to look at eliminating all overtime in 20 and 21, unless it's for emergency purposes or it falls in an essential category. We need to look for other efficiencies. I know over the last 3 or 4 years,
I think that you guys need to listen to that one again. I really think that you guys need to zone in and pay attention to what's really going on out here. I'm going to play it one more time. Just one more time. Listen closely, please.
In various categories on what is essential and what is deemed non-essential. Define essential, define what is non-essential, so that in the event, and look, I'm not advocating anything right now, so I'm not advocating terminating anyone, laying anyone off, furloughing anyone. I'm here to advocate service reductions or anything else, right? What I'm advocating for is we need a lot of information, and we need to squeeze every ounce of juice out of the orange regarding non-essential items before we look at the essential category. So, employees, who's essential, who's non-essential. Services, what's essential, what's non-essential. Capital, is any of it essential, is what it's non-essential. We have to look at eliminating all overtime in 20 and 21, unless it's for emergency purposes or it falls in an essential category. We need to look for other efficiencies. I know over the last 3 or 4 years,
Did you guys hear that? Did you hear that clearly? Look at what they playing. They now, at one time during this whole pandemic, we was all essential. Everything was essential. MTA workers, essential. Now they want to separate what's essential and what's non-essential. And when they try to separate these jobs, that's essential and non-essential, these jobs are controlled by people. People work these jobs. So now they trying to say that you're not essential or you're essential, when we all were essential when they really needed us. They've been saying that the past couple of months. Now, the person that was talking was Larry Swartz. For those who don't know, Larry Swartz is one of Cuomo lapdogs on the MTA board. You know, he's a top 1% guy. He do not care about workers. It's all false. And the first thing that come out of his mouth, I'm not advocating for this, but I think there shouldn't be no overtime. Now let's be honest. Let's be honest. And I need you guys to be honest with yourselves. How many of us could survive off of 8 and skate? How many of us could survive off of 8 and skate? You got a man who's a millionaire who's advocating for no overtime. And I believe it's going to come down to that. I believe that they're going to cut jobs. I believe people will be getting laid off. I believe that there will be some serious changes in 2021 because no matter how much money the MTA get, they will forever cry broke. You know, the Trump just gave them what, $4 billion, and in 2 months they claiming that money is done. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I mean, what are we going to do without no overtime? What are we going to do? Now, coincidentally, this article had came out that study finds that New Yorkers need to work over 50 hours per week to afford rent. So now think about what's going on now. You have Larry Swartz on the MTA board already putting it out there that there shouldn't be no overtime in 2021. He's on one side saying this. On the next side, you have a study that says that New Yorkers need to work over 50 hours to afford rent. We know, it's not a secret. A lot of MTA workers survive here with their lifestyles, and we're not even talking about extravagant lifestyles. We're talking about taking care of a couple of kids, paying a mortgage, rent, and surviving. It's very hard to do off for 8 hours. A lot of us do get overtime. We got overtime built into our jobs. Now, you talking about them getting rid of the overtime, especially with a study out that say that you need to work more than 50 hours per week. So when these two forces clash, because we know we can't survive off of 8 and skate, most of us, right? So when these two forces clash, what's going to happen to MTA workers? We do know that there's MTA workers who's living in shelters currently right now, right? What you think will happen to that number? I've been saying for a long time now, I've been saying that we have become refugees. We can't afford to live in the city in which we serve. The rents is just astronomical. Our contracts have been very subpar. They have not been keeping up with inflation. Forget about the lies that the union been telling you. Our raises have not been keeping up with inflation. We have been getting outpriced. Gentrification has taken a toll. And now we're being left with basically finding other ways to survive and live and things of that nature. I know someone personally who they commute every day, and this is not a lie. They commute every day for from Delaware to New York City to work for New York City because they get a better living down there than living here. So you have a worse quality of life when you can't afford to live in the city in which you live. In which you work, because you spending a lot of time traveling. That takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your body. Picture you have to do a round trip every day of 3 to 4 hours to get to and from work, and then you got to drive another 8-9 hours. You don't think that takes a toll on your body? We must pay attention. And then also in the news regarding that is that it say that New York City may fire 22,000 workers. That's the thanks you get. Now, this is the funny part. The MTA is far out of the water. Do I think that there may be another resurgence of this pandemic? Yes. We must remember what they're talking about. They're talking about, first of all, we not essential no more. We non-essential now. They talking about OT cuts. They talking about laying off workers. And I'm not only talking about the MTA, I'm talking about citywide. We must remember this when this virus come back into play, because they so foolish, they showing their hands now. So we got to do what's in our best interest. We must do what's in our best interest. Now, during this whole time, guess who was making all the money again? Long Island Railroad. The MTA implemented all this time clock this and police officers in our transit facilities and watching the time clocks. And you had the MTA IG Carolyn Picorni doing all these probes into New York City transit facilities. Look who ended up making the money again. Now, I'm not mad. Not mad at all. Congrats to them for making that money. But this is another racist practice of the MTA. They put the chokehold on us, put a fake hold on them, and they continue to make the money while we struggle. I mean, I'm telling you, this racist stuff is deeply, 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 deeply rooted. Now, earlier this last week, I asked you guys to send me pictures of your child who was graduating from school. I think that we don't spend enough time as a community congratulating the kids in the community of the good hard work they put in. It's sad to say, but we give more love to the person who just did 4 years in jail that just came home versus the person who did 4 years in college and got a degree. We have to change our outlook and change what we celebrate. So what I decided to do was I decided to give a shout out to the kids who graduated school and what grade they're going to. And I told the parents to send in pictures and all of that. We're going to do one more week of this. This is the first week of it. We're going to do one more next week. So when I put up a picture of the child, I want you to tell that child, thank you. Give them words of encouragement. They're going to see this video and we want them to feel encouraged to continue to do better. Because like I said, it boggles my mind. Someone come home from jail, 4, 5, 6 years of jail. Yo, we gonna throw a party. Yo, my man coming home. Yo. But the person who graduate college, we do nothing for them. We don't even acknowledge them. I actually want to change that. I want to start focusing more on the positivity part of life and celebrating the things that we're supposed to celebrate. So the first child I'm going to introduce to you guys is Carter Flowers. Carter Flowers, he's 5 years old and he's going to the first grade. Shout out to Carter. Congratulations, Carter. The second person we're going to congratulate is Brandon Gonzalez. He's 17 years old. He's going to the State University of New York at New Paltz. He's going to school for political science. And you want to know what? Maybe one day we will have him on a Progressive Action TV show. We're not going to wait for him to possibly become big. We're going to have him on a TV show now. He's 17 years old. He could discuss some things with us. Maybe he has some ideas that we never thought about. So, Mr. Gonzalez, reach out to me soon. We have you call into the show and we'll have a discussion on some things that you will want to talk about. So he's going to school for political science, possibly future leader. Why not? This is special right here. We have a set of twins. A set of twins. We have Nevaeh Slater and Novan Slater. Let me move out of the way a little bit. So, both of them are 18 years old. Nevaeh is going to SUNY Albany, and Novan is going to SUNY Buffalo State. Nevaeh is studying biology medicine, and Novan will be studying mathematical engineering. Man, that sounds like a whole bunch of money you guys are going to be making soon. I'm about to ask for a loan or something. But that's dope. I mean, biology medicine and mathematical engineering. That's dope, man. The future is bright. The future is definitely bright. Here we have Kayla Huggins. She's going to Monroe College. Salute to Kayla. We have, I like this picture right here. It's dope. We have Alexia Batista Fernandez. She has graduated from Deerfield Beach High School in Florida. Shout out to her. Next, we have Tamia Miller. She's headed to BMCC. Shout outs to Tamia. Next, we have Alyssa Chichester. This is my friend from high school daughter. She don't know what high school she's going to yet, but her awards are Most Improved in Math and New York Edge and Dance. Shout out to Alyssa, man. Look, congratulations to all the graduates of 2020. We're going to do one more week of this. We'll do as many as we can. So if you have a child that you want to shout out and get involved and let us use our platform to show appreciation, that we salute them for doing something positive. I don't care if you're going from kindergarten to first grade. I don't care where you're going. Let's salute all the graduates. Once again, shout out to all the graduates. Shout out to all the graduates. Once again, if you guys want to donate to the platform, the Cash App is Progressive Action 100. The PayPal is Progressive Action. And the Patreon is in the link of this video. If you want to donate $25 a month and it come directly off of your debit card or whatever the case is, go to Patreon. That's very important. You don't have to remember to donate. You could just donate to the platform. Thanks for tuning in to the Progressive Action TV show. Shout out to all the graduates once again. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.